Welcome to our discussion on health and well-being for people of all ages. Channel where we explore often overlooked subjects that are important in this. In this video, we're examining the myths and misconceptions surrounding masturbation and aging. And interest, we'll talk about the mental and physical aspects of sexual health. Dispelling misconceptions and resolving issues with this normal tendency as we age, helpful suggestions for keeping a positive connection with your body and yourself. This isn't about passing judgment, about promoting empathy and having candid, open discussions. Let's talk about subjects that affect everyone at some time in their lives. Stigma together and concentrate on concepts supported by research for better well-being. Have you ever questioned why conversations regarding aging and pleasure are sometimes veiled in taboo and kept quiet, and misunderstandings in a society where closeness is often connected to youth? In our older years, we often forget the tremendous emotional and physical significance of this video. Today is about celebrating the truth, not simply about shattering those walls. Unpacking misconceptions, we'll go deeply into the misunderstood and often disregarded subject of self-pleasure in old age, exposing realities and investigating their significant influence on mental health and physical well-being. So why should you persevere till the end? We'll face addressing the liberated joys of self-pleasure and how it changes with age. We'll also look at its drawbacks and how technology could redefine intimacy, psychological advantages, medical discoveries, and the delicate balance required to make sure that this practice continues to foster empowerment rather than loneliness. Whether you're here to ask questions, seek advice, or dispel stereotypes, this is a discussion that promises to educate, inspire, and maybe even reassure you with the understanding that the journey of pleasure is a continuous process. Let's uncover this sensitive but potent topic together, guaranteeing that you leave with a new understanding of the relationship between intimacy and aging. Pay attention, since the knowledge you acquire could permanently alter your perspective on this subject if you are not a subscriber. To ensure you don't miss anything, I advise you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Your support is much appreciated for all films, and if you liked this one, you may please like and share it if you want to help me keep teaching the important lessons. If you like this video's theme, please leave a remark. If not, please leave one. Please give me zero feedback so that I may produce better films for you. Let's start an insightful trip to examine a subject that is often. The sensation of pleasure in old age is a highly complex and very human phenomenon that cannot simply another informal discussion. It's an earnest effort to reveal the very private and often unsaid aspects of. As we grew older together, we'll question the closeness that still exists. Long-held myths embrace the unvarnished, unquestionable realities and challenge social taboos. On how the healing, liberating, and transformative power of this intimate act. Many people experience complicated emotions sometimes, and growing older might seem like a gradual unraveling of youth, vigor, and enthusiasm were previously taken for granted. But let me tell you, as the years go by, pleasure doesn't diminish, rather it changes, becoming a deeper and more significant manifestation of connection and self-love. There is so much more to masturbation than what is frequently reduced to whispers of embarrassment. Regaining one's independence and finding the body's language is achieved via physical release. Silent but significant rebellion against the limitations of aging, but as we get older, life teaches us that the best journeys are those that include interior masturbation, which turns into a haven. Very private area where one may express their right to joy and re-establish a connection with their deepest wishes. Self-care is taking some time to calm the body, mind, and spirit, establishing a harmony that goes beyond the material world. And this isn't just about pleasure, it's about finding calm, letting go of emotional stress, and being alone and appreciating the glory of being completely alive, regardless of the number of candles on your birthday cake. I think this own custom has a remarkable power. It serves as a reminder that we are still youthful and worthy of love, enjoyment, and the capacity to feel intense joy if you're in. At this point in your life, realize that you are not alone in your aspirations, experiences, and your right to self-love is legitimate. Therefore, let's celebrate the richness and diversity of the human experience, intricacy of the relationship we have with ourselves as we mature and accept the passing of time. Some facets of our lives start to become more profound and significant. Dimensions of masturbation, a behavior sometimes linked to the intensity and vigor. As we age, our bodies change into something far more complex. Once replied with a young ferocity that transitions with elegance, via hormonal shifts, bodily sensitivity, natural changes, and the soft ebb and flow of rhythm's wishes, these adjustments are unavoidable, but not losses. Invites to investigate pleasure in a fresh and really intimate manner in the golden years. This private deed becomes more about relationship, is a very intimate method to respect and care for the growing body, with natural declines in sex, fuel desire, due to testosterone and estrogen levels, may not longer roar with the same ferocity, but it softens rather than disappears, into a more serene, richer place that is quietly awaiting its rediscovery. For many people, masturbating later in age is not only about enjoying some alone time and self-appreciation. Physical enjoyment that turns into an act of empowerment and self-love. Honoring one's capacity to still feel, still want, and still reach the core of our identity under the surface without the act of self-stimulation and the demands and sometimes irrational expectations that come with intimacy in youth, becomes a really liberating experience that enables one to investigate their own body. With gentleness, interest, and respect, relishing the deep beauty of the right now, I think this change is a blessing that gives us the opportunity to rethink what closeness means on our. It serves as a reminder that our bodies, regardless of age, are worthy of love. This technique deprives people of external expectations in terms of care and attention, becomes a haven of tranquility and self-discovery, enhancing that enjoyment does not diminish with time. Rather, it changes, giving us new ways to treasure it and establish a connection with ourselves, fostering a reassuring and profound feeling of completeness. After all, growing older does not lessen our ability to be joyful, improves it if we are prepared to accept it wholeheartedly. It is a haven, where it is possible to rediscover the deep relationship between the body's natural requirements and wants, a reminder that enjoyment is a profoundly meaningful experience rather than just a transient indulgence. Encounter that is genuine, life-affirming, and enhances the human spirit regardless of. For elderly folks in particular, accepting one's age might seem similar, like recovering a portion of vitality that society often attempts to ignore as unnecessary. But pleasure is everything from a luxury. Rather, it is a deep validation of life and a celebration of the human body's beauty and resiliency, which both, on a simply bodily level, both the emotional and physical, are very transformational. Vital blood supply to the vaginal region is ensured by steady, frequent self-pleasure. This little action helps to maintain the health and vitality of tissues that may otherwise suffer from atrophy and neglect. Forms a barrier against the effects of aging, retaining its strength and functionality in ways that are often disregarded yet vital for general health. And although this in and of itself is impressive, The emotional and psychological impacts in those private times that really amaze. The discharge of the body's own happy chemicals, endorphins, provide a rush of exhilaration that may relieve even the most severe strains of worry, despair, or stress. It's a silent spiritual revolution that allows one to escape the never-ending demands of life and rediscover happiness, no matter how short it may seem. There is something, a lovely reminder that we are more than our responsibilities or the culmination of our concerns, but creatures with the capacity for great joy and satisfaction. To believe that such a basic natural acts are a gift we may give, since they can provide so much and seem nearly miraculous. Giving ourselves a self-compassionate moment that affirms, "I matter, my needs matter," in a society that often disregards elderly people's wishes. This reclamation of agency and self-care is very powerful, since it serves as a reminder that life's pleasures are not exclusive to young people, but are accessible to anybody who wants to accept them. In the embracing this private practice throughout one's elderly years becomes a significant confirmation of our vitality, happiness, and our right to personal satisfaction. It's a method to recognize and celebrate our humanity. Even though the world would anticipate us to fade into the background as the years go by, we continue to be entire, lively, and worthy of the joys life has to give. Rather than being a cause of guilt or shame, it is evidence of the persistence of the human spirit, a statement that the quest for pleasure and self-discovery never ends as we age, but changes, unveiling new, equally lovely dimensions as they age. Elderly people who take the time to respect their body's demands by enjoying themselves are not. Instead of just looking for a little respite, they are fostering their general well-being in ways that ripple. The connection between the body and mind strengthens much beyond the act itself, promoting. In my view, this exercise is a way to achieve a feeling of calm and relaxation that is often elusive in the latter stages of life. Gentle reminder to be compassionate to ourselves and to acknowledge our needs. Physical, emotional, and even spiritual aspects are legitimate and deserving of consideration. The biggest advantages are seen in how it affects sleep, which is a gem that becoming more important as people age, and for many older persons, getting enough sleep is a luxury. Yet it's essential for preserving mental clarity, emotional equilibrium, and physical wellness. The tranquility that comes after enjoying oneself melts away like a calming balm. The stresses and anxieties of the day, this tranquility not only improves the capacity to fall asleep peacefully, but also helps one wake up feeling rejuvenated and better prepared to face the especially is times like these when we let ourselves connect with our own impulses without social pressure or condemnation. It's an act of self-love when we overcome limitations and reclaim a piece of who we are that may have been disregarded or ignored. Lovely admission that our ability to be happy and content is not time-bound yet enhanced by the knowledge and experiences it brings. Regardless of our age, I think this is one of the most powerful and life-affirming presents we can offer ourselves. Masturbation has a much more profound psychological impact than most people first realize, particularly as we manage the challenges of aging. It's far more than a personal activity. It acts as, for older individuals, it is a powerful instrument for self-awareness, emotional healing, and rediscovering one's inner strength. Turns into a lifeline for them to recover their sensation of control over their body and vital aspect of oneself that often feels weakened by the mental and physical difficulties of aging in a society that makes growing older seems like a gradual loss of power and vulnerability. A very personal route to empowerment is provided by distancing oneself from the body that formerly felt so familiar via masturbation. It is a subdued act of defiance against the idea that growing older is only about refuse, a reminder that our bodies may still connect with pleasure. Providing solace from this personal encounter, we have the chance to change our focus and establish a deep connection with yourself. I think this concept is fantastic, from what has been lost to what is yet achievable. As we become older, society often shapes us to see our body as abandoning us or being disappointing, but masturbation may change that viewpoint and turn it into a method to recover agency and remind ourselves that our bodies are holy, not just decaying vessels, live components of our identities. And this rekindled feeling of connectedness may ignite a potent increase in self-esteem. To be gentle and curious with oneself is to tell the tale of self-acceptance that says, "I am enough as I am, even in the face of change," is very uplifting and emotionally charged, providing not only physical. For me, this act is not only a much-needed balm for the soul, but also a release. About enjoyment, but also about rewriting the story of aging by accepting our bodies. It's a way to respect oneself and rediscover the comfort in all of their experiences, wounds, and imperfections. That originates inside and builds a loving and healthy connection with the most enduring companion we will ever have, as well as the most delightful activities. There is an invisible border that must be carefully balanced. If crossed, may change a habit that was once rewarding and healthful into something, when used sparingly, possibly dangerous. Masturbation has the ability to be a healthy and organic way to take care of oneself, especially as one ages. But when it becomes out of control or obsessive, it may negatively impact both physical and mental health, resulting in consequences that are often disregarded or undervalued on a physical level. At first appearance, increased sensitivity may be the consequence of overstimulating the vaginal area's sensitive nerves. This may seem to be a gift or an improvement, but with time, this increased state may backfire, causing pain or a discernible loss of feeling. Imagine how frustrating it would be to try to get the same amount of pleasure, but find that it keeps slipping away. Out of reach. This hypersensitivity might put people in a depressing situation, cycle in which they need more frequent or intense stimulation to accomplish the same goals, momentary emotional fulfillment they formerly experienced with ease. This battle may lead to discontent and even melancholy, since the ACT used to be connected with pleasure and release. Start to undermine worry, maybe infiltrating and generating a vicious loop in which the unfulfilled expectations cause stress, which intensifies obsessive behavior. The issue is that it's devastating to consider that something so intimate and natural might have gone undetected. From my vantage point, feeling empty or alienated is a problem that speaks to a greater truth about life itself, the need of self-awareness and balance, and how pleasure in all of its manifestations should. The secret is to treat ourselves with kindness, not to let our lives dictate or degrade them, honoring one's physical limitations and pursuing happiness in ways that promote, rather than exhaust our emotional and physical reserves. It's not about denying pleasure, but rather about respecting its function as a component of a complete, healthy, and peaceful life as we go through the latter. Throughout life, we often encounter obstacles that are more profound. The most significant effect of frequent masturbating in old age is not on physical health alone. Physically, but many older folks feel the weight of time on their hearts and souls. Come to this act as a haven, not out of desire, a last-ditch effort to escape the crushing hold of despair, anxiety, or loneliness that may subtly permeate their aging days. Often changes the fundamental structure of our interactions. Social circles that were once lively may become smaller. Relationships may wane, and family dynamics might change in ways that make one long for the coziness of the past. Conversations that used to reverberate throughout the house might give way to a deafening quiet that in these vulnerable masturbation moments, Whispers of loss and loneliness may seem to be a temporary fix, a means of temporarily dulling the agonizing emptiness that loneliness eats away at the heart. But is it a frail thing, or is it really comforting? Covering a wound that requires more extensive healing with a bandage when this private deed turns into the main, or perhaps the only source of solace, it may begin to weaken the soul. Instead of improving it, it runs the danger of turning into a cycle of short-term respite that only intensifies the same emotions it aims to alleviate, sustaining an almost intolerable sense of emotional loneliness. This serves as a moving reminder to me of the need of human connection, for shared giggles, for a little gesture that lets us know we're not alone if we let these emotional gaps be filled only with transient diversions that might cause us to lose sight of love, friendship, and deep human connections are what really nurture the soul. Let this serve as a reminder to everyone, whether we are going through this ourselves or seeing it in someone we love, to provide assistance in fostering genuine connections and serving as a reminder that, even our quietest times, isolation creates an emotional gap that is like a silent storm when one is totally alone. Brewing under the surface, drawing people, especially senior citizens, into a cycle that becomes harder and harder to interrupt, characterized by withdrawal and reliance progressively worsen, creating an environment where elderly people are more vulnerable to loneliness. This kind of emotional isolation is more pernicious since those around them often fail to see it. Although they may feel caught in a solid AR, the outside world may see them as coping. Existence if their emotional requirements are not satisfied when someone withdraws into the lonely realm of self-stimulation, the coziness of interpersonal relationships, and the delight of purposeful relationships might seem more distant. It seems like every second of retreat creates an additional barrier around their heart, making it more difficult to go and look for connections that would really feed your soul's masturbation. The healthiest form may, in fact, be consoling and a means of self-connection. Can get respite from both mental and physical strain, but when it turns into it poses a danger as a substitute for the deep, satisfying ties that humans long for. Leaving a person feeling empty and increasingly more alone as they age. This problem has a complicated undertone, and masturbating may be therapeutic and uplifting activity that supports the preservation of vitality and self-awareness. It may provide a secure environment for examining one's wants and feelings, but when it overflows and turns into a crutch instead, rather than a self-care technique, it may lead to annoyance, alienation, and a dependence that permeates all aspects of a person's emotional existence. Maintaining equilibrium is crucial. It's not about depriving oneself of personal comfort, expression, but about realizing the intricate relationship between independence and considering the natural human need for attachment. The real tragedy is not in the act itself, but in a manner that may subtly take the place of what really counts, the capacity for love and experience love, affection, and emotional as well as physical contact. Navigating this sensitive terrain spiritually makes it evident that we need, instead of choosing between ourselves and other people, we should embrace both. Harmony in self-care practices while making space for the happiness and healing that come from human connection. Because the path to achieving life balance, particularly when it comes to issues of closeness and connection, is a very personal journey that demands bravery, integrity, and a strong sense of self-awareness. But above all, it calls for self-compassion and a kind awareness of one's own needs and weaknesses, since many people look for emotional support or love. Support might come unexpected forms, and some people may find comfort in self-stimulation by utilizing it to fill emotional holes or loneliness, even while it could provide a temporary feeling of comfort. But over time, it may produce a slight, almost undetectable wall separating oneself from the external environment. This steady dependence on, although first seeming innocuous, masturbation may gradually result in a strong sensation of loneliness and yearning for anything is fostered by detachment. More satisfying from a medical perspective. What is the scientific consensus about masturbation in clinical trials of the elderly? Imply that masturbating is not always detrimental. In fact, it has significant health advantages that, when used sparingly, may enhance circulation, releases endorphins, which reduce stress and even promote mental health. But like any, when conduct goes too far, it might start to have negative effects. Although it may cause physical strain, the mental hazards are more subtle and extensive. Overindulgence may lead to avoidance behaviors when genuine relationships or deeper emotional ties are needed, are disregarded in favor of immediate lonely satisfaction, which is, in my view, the core of the issue. Is with purpose and balance in life, particularly in older age, thrives on relationships with others, ourselves, and the environment. Although masturbation is a normal and even healthy aspect of life, it should enhance rather than take the place of the most profound and fulfilling aspects of interpersonal communication. Thinking back on this sensitive interaction makes me realize how important it is to not only discovering methods to support both our mental and bodily well-being, so we don't lose sight of what makes life so beautiful, the personal touch and shared experiences. Although sometimes disregarded, obsessive masturbating in elderly persons has various research that highlight the physical and emotional ramifications that need our attention. Highlight the dangers of this behavior, particularly if it becomes the main way that people express their emotions or sexual desires. Physical satisfaction may be depleted by excessive self-stimulation. Energy stores that result in sexual exhaustion, as well as a widespread feeling of mental and bodily fatigue. This depletion robs the vitality that it is very important for older individuals to have happy and purposeful lives. Imagine the impact this has on someone who may already be struggling with the aging process's inevitable reductions. Similar to yet another obstacle in the struggle to preserve elderly people's independence and physical health. Active is a lifeline exercise, not just a suggestion, maintains mobility, increases muscular strength, and improves cardiovascular health, which is essential for aging well. But when excessive masturbation and other similar actions take center stage, and might deprive someone of their drive and excitement, need to participate in these essential tasks, and it's devastating to think of how this may turn into a sedentary lifestyle, may increase the risk of heart disease and other health problems. Loss of flexibility and muscular tone are just the first signs of the psychological toll that such a cycle may be just as damaging, encouraging feelings of shame or loneliness. Therefore, in my opinion, it's crucial to address this subject with empathy and understanding, as opposed to many elderly people may resort to masturbation as a way to cope with loneliness or as a coping strategy that addresses the root causes of unfulfilled emotional needs. Finding balance is crucial, whether it involves stress, loneliness, or a lack of connections. Humans naturally want emotional pleasure and physical closeness, but the repercussions of channeling them into dangerous extremes may be severe. Eventually, understanding the importance of exercising restraint and looking for more constructive outlets for feelings, such as deep connections. Engaging in hobbies or practicing mindful exercise might help you feel more energized and vibrant. Elderly people should be treated with respect, since aging is a wonderful stage of life, but it also calls for physical and mental well-being, with caution and moderation rather than actions that deplete their valuable resources as we proceed. The effects of excessive self-stimulation extend into later life. It has a profound impact on our relationships and emotional ties that extend far beyond the physical realm. For elderly folks, many of whom may live alone. This is especially heartbreaking. Use masturbation to satisfy their erotic desires while they're alone. This may provide relief and comfort, but it often has unanticipated repercussions, particularly for those in committed partnerships. In the context of a long-term commitment, the practice of the shared closeness that formerly served as the glue might be subtly replaced by regular or obsessive masturbating, enduringly tying together what was previously a source of mutual joy, vulnerability, and connection may start to wane and be replaced by an individual behave as if being private and intimate doesn't allow for the intimacy that partners want. Isn't just about the loss of physical closeness. It's also about the emotional divide that develops between two individuals who previously discovered. From my vantage point, this loss feels so much comfort in each other's arms. Even in their older years, couples have a genuinely lovely quality that makes them so tragic. May strengthen their relationship by sharing sweet and loving moments. When self-simulation is used often as a replacement, it might undermine that one's physical and emotional detachment from the foundation is increasing. Partners may feel neglected, frustrated, or even rejected as a consequence of this. It serves as a reminder, causing individuals to question what went wrong and yearn for the warmth of their previous relationship. That intimacy is about feeling noticed, loved, and respected by the person you are with, and it goes much beyond simple physical contact. Having lived with you, disregarding this element in favor of isolated behaviors may transform even the most solid partnerships into shadows of their former selves. Think that if couples are prepared to put their relationship first and communicate openly, they may rediscover the happiness and intimacy that come from having a close relationship, gives their fostering a relationship and reminding one another that love is worthwhile for everyone, regardless of age. Being in this precarious position, it's imperative to identify a harmonic equilibrium that fosters self-awareness and a relationship with a partner. When treated with awareness, masturbation may be a means of self-discovery and even a way to improve intimacy instead of taking its place. But if it starts to overshadow or replace the intimate touch and time spent with a companion, it may subtly weaken the connection that maintains relationships alive, meaningful, and any successful relationship revolves on deep closeness and letting on a deeper level. Anything that throws off that rhythm might produce a vacuum full of remoteness and emotional need. Excessive masturbation may have a negative emotional and psychological effect, particularly on individuals who many of us were brought up in cultures that were rife with sexuality-related guilt and secrecy. Message that for older folks, sexual experimentation was something that should be kept under wraps. These ingrained convictions often persist, resulting in an internal conflict between it's devastating to have normal impulses and emotions of shame or unworthiness. Just consider how many people live with these unseen wounds, feeling imprisoned by antiquated ideas that limit their potential. I believe that they should accept and be upfront with their bodies and desires. We deserve to change this story in order to break free from the bonds of shame and adopt a more sympathetic viewpoint. Knowing how we see our wants and actions in relation to sexuality is a gift. To establish a connection with ourselves as well as with others, and when we approach it when done with balance, honesty, and care, it may improve rather than detract from our lives. They allowed us to make room for these discussions, letting go of the past's judgments and moving forward into the future. Where many people find emotional clarity, love, and respect when their aspirations are fulfilled, self-stimulation is more than simply a moment of pleasure for individuals, but a battlefield of emotions full of intensely opposing sentiments, while masturbation's bodily effects might provide momentary solace or happiness. times are often overtaken by a crippling sensation of shame or remorse. The source of this emotional conflict is the conflict between natural human cravings and deeply held social or cultural views that categorize such actions that are deemed improper or immoral. It's as if the mind turns into a courtroom where the heart faces trial charged with violating its moral compass, the weight of, imagine, the weariness of constantly navigating a cycle of indulgence, judgment, and confrontation. Regret, every loop that erodes one's sense of self-worth. It's not only an internal challenge, but it may be very lonely for someone to feel stuck in the cycle's inability to balance their ideals and deeds leads to often experience extreme loneliness, and they may distance themselves from friends or family out of fear of criticism or miscommunication that over time just makes them feel more alone. Feelings of inadequacy and self-loathing may have a catastrophic impact on mental and emotional health. Sneak in, opening the door for sadness, anxiety, and a waning feeling of, it's devastating to consider someone who is quietly doubting their own worth while bearing this unseen load. Since we are all human, we should be treated with compassion and understanding by ourselves, yet these people often feel imprisoned in a cycle of self-criticism, and I believe that this battle serves as a powerful reminder of how crucial we must confront the inflexible ideologies and stigmas we acquire in order to difficult subjects with compassion and receptivity. Creating room for self-acceptance and life development is already difficult enough without having to bear needless shame. By encouraging empathy and cooperation, we may overcome them by having compassion for others as well as for ourselves, break harmful patterns, and recover the happiness and tranquility that everyone is entitled to. These feelings are important as they are not uncommon, particularly among people who were raised in settings influenced by restrictive or oppressive cultural norms are strongly embedded. It might be difficult to see normal human actions like masturbating because of attitudes, without feeling guilty or uneasy, but facing these emotions head-on with bravery and a being open to accepting oneself may be a really liberating experience. It enables us to let go of the needless burden of shame and swap it out with a, if you're still viewing this video and find these teachings helpful, you'll feel empowered and have a better knowledge of your body. To let me know that you are still here with me, kindly leave a remark below. In my opinion, it's very tragic that so many individuals, especially in older people, continue to bear the responsibilities of antiquated sexuality stigmas. In addition to having the potential to be innocuous, moderate masturbation may also result in substantial mental and physical advantages. It may lower stress and enhance sleep, and even improve a person's feeling of self-connection. But in my opinion, striking a careful balance is crucial, particularly for those who are in partnerships where they rely on. Although self-stimulation is sometimes natural, it may unintentionally cause distance in a collaboration if it is not handled with understanding and candid communication. In summary, the important thing is not to see. Although it is considered taboo, elderly masturbating is a normal aspect of human existence, which, when carefully incorporated, may improve one's well-being. For me, the route adopting this equilibrium requires sincere introspection and a dedication to preserving harmony throughout our lives, and by doing so, we may make sure that this practice continues to be beneficial to our mental and sexual well-being rather than a cause of shame, remorse, or alienation. As we go through the latter phases of life, the significance of self-awareness and self-compassion increase rapidly. They serve as the cornerstone for living a happy, balanced existence that enables us to appreciate each and every facet of our humanity, even those who are often vilified or misunderstood. Even in our prime, sexuality is a meaningful celebration rather than just a lovely and natural aspect of who we are. Of life itself, it serves as a reminder that we are all still alive and worthy of joy at any age. However, society here often casts a shadow on something by fostering needless guilt and shame around this subject. Something need to be treasured as it is really positive and personal. We might lose the opportunity to connect with ourselves and feel the emotional and physical relief that comes with being judged, comes with having sex, and accepting this relationship with our bodies even as we age is an act of deep self-love and self-respect, confirms that we are deserving of closeness with others other than ourselves. But with ourselves, thus it's important to tackle this topic mindfully. Although masturbating is a totally acceptable and healthy way to express oneself, it may sometimes serve as a support system and emotional haven from the feelings of loneliness or isolation that occur with growing older. It starts to take the place of deep personal connection, those priceless moments of understanding. The touch of shared laughing might indicate a more serious underlying problem. As far as I'm concerned, here is when self-awareness becomes a strong instrument that enables us to determine whether we are using it to express ourselves artistically or to. This introspection doesn't satisfy an emotional need that might be better satisfied by sincere connections. Call for gentle kindness toward ourselves and our needs rather than condemnation. Life at any age should be about finding balance and accepting our sexuality. With knowledge and openness is the essential component of that equilibrium at times of emotional isolation or overload life situations. It becomes crucial to look for alternatives and more. Using therapy or counseling as a means of receiving significant emotional support may provide a loving and secure environment for you to reconnect and explore your emotions. With valued loved ones provides a profoundly rooted feeling of inclusion. These kinds of relationships are not only diversions, but potent emotional food supplies that may boost the soul and mend the heart in ways that brief momentary gratification like a self-stimulation, which a simp cannot in my nothing, can match the comfort and certainty of knowing that someone else really understands and supports you. Human person, it serves as a reminder that we are never as alone as we may think at the most trying moments of life. Urgent issue that often stays in people's thoughts, especially as they grow older, focuses on the possible long-term hazards connected to. Let me be quite clear. It's time to put an end to the baseless rumors that have plagued centuries and caused needless worry about the possibility that masturbation may do irreparable harm to one's sexual health or accelerate aging in any way. Lacks supporting scientific medical research continually demonstrates that there is no proof to support such terrible consequences, and as someone who has studied this subject extensively, I find hard. Knowing that our bodies are considerably more adaptable and robust than these antiquated notions is very freeing. Would suggest that we adopt a more sympathetic mindset. Knowing our intuition and releasing ourselves from these needless anxieties, since life is too valuable, not allow unfounded beliefs to control our perceptions of our bodies and well-being. Research has consistently refuted the beliefs surrounding masturbation, demonstrating that there is no link between this natural act and serious illnesses like sexual dysfunction or prostate cancer, such as impotence or aeronautical issues. Yet these unfounded allegations continue, sowing the seeds of worry, especially in elderly people who may already be struggling. It is depressing when people experience vulnerability or self-doubt as their bodies alter with age. I can see how false information might deprive someone of their peace of mind, particularly at a point in their lives when they merit sympathy and understanding. Because being said that, like with everything in life, balance is crucial, Masturbation is necessary when it is done in moderation, may be beneficial and even powerful, helping to reduction of stress and general well-being, while overindulgence may subtly take its toll while posing no undue long-term health hazards. Over time, the regular release of masturbation may cause sensations of mental and physical tiredness. Much energy without getting enough sleep or taking care of oneself might leave one feeling exhausted physically, and in my mind, this emphasizes a crucial reality of loving and caring for oneself. This is about finding that sweet spot where you take care of your body and spirit, not about denial or excess. For individuals who may be embarrassed or perplexed by their behaviors, I implore you to treat yourself with care while discussing the subject, since our bodies are amazing ability to provide us with both pleasure and signals for equilibrium, and by paying attention to those signals and staying within our boundaries, assist us in living happier, more contented lives, free from needless guilt or excessive worry, particularly when it comes to something as personal as masturbation, may carry unexpected repercussions, such as a slow and tragic drop in libido over, imagine the irony that results from an act meant to satisfy sex-fueled desire when carried out a thief of desire obsessively, leaving a feeling of emptiness in its wake. Annoyance and even alienation, a bittersweet loop that highlights it takes a careful balance to properly support one's sex-fueled vitality, masturbating as one ages. When used carefully and intelligently, it has a remarkable capacity to enhance the body and the soul. Physically, it protects sex-fueled health by promoting healthy blood flow and maintaining the genital tissue's suppleness, which is essential for preserving function and mental comfort, may be a refuge, a period of deep solace during stressful, anxious, or painful circumstances.